Sweet Scarlet Baking. Let's decorate cookies together. Today we're going to be decorating these Valentine cookies with royal icing. Let's start with this small heart with the arrow. I like to put a paper towel under my cookie when I decorate so I can shake my cookie like this to even out my icing. We're going to start with the blue. So you want to find the seam on your bag and flatten it out in the center on the top, and you're going to cut a very small opening. It's important that you cut smaller than you think you should. If you cut the bag too big, you can't go back. If you cut it small, too small, you can always make it a little bigger. So you can see I'm just cutting a tiny bit off the bag. So I'm gonna go ahead and outline this arrow part of my cookie because I wanna make that background blue. And then I'm gonna fill it in. So with light pressure for the outline, and then just a heavier pressure to fill it in. Now I can shake my cookie a little to smooth out the icing. And I can also use a toothpick to kind of move my icing around a little bit into any holes that I may have left. Then I'm going to do the other part. And then shake it a little to smooth it out and use my toothpick. Now royal icing can take a long time to dry. It's best to wait about 20 minutes between each section that you want to do for some drying time so colors don't bleed together and so that you can have some definition. If you have a fan or a dehydrator to put on your cookies, that would speed up the drying time. So let's set this one aside and we'll go on to do the lip cookie. Now here, I'm only going to do the top lip just to give a little bit of definition between the top and the bottom. So I'm actually going to do the red. So again, find your seam, flatten it in the center on the top, and cut a very small opening. I'm just going to make a line here with my red, differentiate from the top and the bottom. That a little bit. And then I'll outline the top. And then fill it in. I'm going to use my white just to add a little highlight. So again, I'm going to find the seam on my bag, flatten it in the center, on the top, and make a very small cut. Just a small highlight. Okay, now I'm going to set this cookie aside to dry. And move on to the big heart. So I'm going to do a fun wet on wet technique with this big heart. So I'm going to get all the icing bags open. So I just have this pink one left to open. So again, I'm going to find the seam, flatten it on the top, make a small cut, and I'm going to first ice the entire cookie in the white. I'm gonna get my other icing bags ready. With a wet on wet technique, you have to move a little faster so that you add top layers while your bottom layer is still wet. So the whole cookie here is going to be white. icing is still wet, I'm going to add some stripes across my cookie. Now I'm going to take my toothpick and I'm going to run it through the icing, starting in the center and go down to the bottom. I'm going to wipe off my toothpick, then I'm going to do another line. I'm going to do 2 more here, so I'm going to divide this part into 3 sections. And I'm going to kind of go at a bit of an angle down to the point. Wipe my toothpick. And then the same thing on the other side. Then in between each of these sections, I'm going to go up this time. Creates a really beautiful effect that looks so difficult, but with minimal effort. All right, so this cookie is done. I'm gonna go ahead and set it aside. And I'm going to come back to the small heart with the arrow. Now I'm gonna do a wet on wet technique with this one as well. So I'm gonna ice the heart pink. Take the white and I'm just gonna make a few polka dots all the way around. Now once again, I'm gonna use my toothpick as a tool to create my design. This time I'm going to trace it through the polka dots. I'm going to stop at the bottom and wipe my toothpick. This one didn't look so much like a heart, so I'm going to go through it again. There we go. I'm going to do the same thing, continue up this way. So pretty. And I'm gonna set this one aside to dry. Go back to the lip cookie and finish with the red on the bottom. I'll put a little highlight on this one too. Lastly, I'm just going to come back to this arrow cookie, and I want to add a little bit onto this arrow part to make look like there's an arrow going through. So I'm going to add a little bit on top of the blue, the head of the arrow, and then I'll do the same thing with the tail. And then a little dot here, straight through like this. Like it's going in here and then coming out the back. Alright, so those are our Royal Icing Valentine cookies. I hope that you enjoyed decorating these with me today. For more inspiration, check out my buttercream cookie decorating video.